Louis Bellson's Big Band, Well, All Right's the name of that one, and yeah, Well, All Right it is, here on the Big Band Files and all that jazz, and good music right there. Right before that, we heard a little bit of Nancy Wilson, one of her big hits, Time After Time, and Peter Marshall starting us off with a Willie Nelson tune called Nightlife.
Things in Glockamora, that little brook sleeping there.
Jane Oliver has been dazzling audiences with her heartfelt ballad style of singing ever since she burst onto the scene in the late 1970s, drawing comparisons to both Barbra Streisand and Edith Piaf for best-selling albums and sold-out concerts throughout the world. Along with appearances on The Tonight Show, Merv Griffin and PBS have earned her the reputation as one of the finest interpreters of song in the world. It is a great pleasure to welcome Jane Oliver to the Sunday Show for the next few minutes. Jane, I'm glad we were able to hook up with you. How are you tonight?
I'm fine, and thank you for this lovely introduction.
Oh, no. It's great to talk to you. I've watched you on television over the years, and it's good to have you back with a brand new CD. We played about 3 or 4 songs earlier in the first hour and gave away one to one of our lucky callers. So it's a great CD.
Thank you so much.
Recorded live at Berkeley in Boston, right?
Berkeley School of Music, yeah, and in Boston, and it's a very fine school with an auditorium of about 1,100. And that was about the third time that I was there. I recorded my 5th album for Columbia. There. That was the first time I was there. And did a Christmas show there and then did the DVD, which was amazing. At rehearsal, there were 4 cameras, one in back of me, one on the side, 2 in front of me, and it was an exercise in staying totally centered.
Right. Now, is this going to be broadcast? Was it from a PBS broadcast?
I hope
DVD?
so.
Oh, great. It hasn't been on yet. Okay. Yeah, no, it's wonderful. I've been listening to the CD and the DVDs, the actual live performance, so we're going to give away one of those as well a little bit later on. But and it's a live performance, and you've been away from performing for a while, but we're happy to have you back. And I know you had some things that went on over the years that were difficult, but you've overcome them, and that's great.
Yep, I had stage fright.
Did you have that, really?
I didn't do drugs and alcohol.
No.
I mean, I was really freaky in that way because I was one of I think, a very few. But Marvin Hamlish and I were the only ones.
Did he have it too, really?
And it happens to be extremely funny. People weren't funny in the 70s.
That's right.
They just weren't. I think, and he was hysterical. And so I didn't do drugs and alcohol, but I had tremendous stage fright, afraid I would always forget the words. And after 10 years, my nerves just couldn't take it.
Now, was this something that hit you just one night on stage, or was it building up? Or?
Oh, it was building up, and you know something, Doug? I thought, one day this is all going to go away. It'll get better, it'll lessen, and it'll just go away, it'll evaporate. And it got worse and worse. And I believe stage fright is something that it doesn't get better, and there was no medication for it. And no one had stage fright because they were stunned.
Right.
What did they know about stage fright? So I felt very alone and very freaky that I would be suffering from this when no one else was, so to speak. And there were no teleprompters and nothing to help. But I took the time off and do take medication. And, listen, the mind of God comes through people. Mm-hmm. And this is a very helpful thing. I know that I'm not the only one, but I'm one of them, and I'm very grateful.
You have to learn basically to live with it. You don't totally get rid of it, I suppose.
That's right. That's right. And I think that's a very important thing that you tolerate, the negative and the positive of everything. Just learn to balance, learn to not to just tolerate and be complacent, but to try to learn to not just overcome it, but try to get help for it. Don't hide it because it's going to pop out somewhere. And
when was your first performance back after trying to get some help?
But I just want to say one more thing.
Sure.
Anybody who was drinking or doing drugs, to face that, to face any of your demons, and then go after it and fix it, is so brave. It's so courageous because everybody's got something. And I just think it's so brave of people to stop doing what they're doing.
Most difficult thing is to admit you have the problem first, isn't it?
Yeah, and also it is to walk the walk.
Right.
Go and fix it. And there was also tremendous stigma about fixing your problems, also about taking medication. Mm-hmm. Listen, 30 years ago, if you saw a therapist, you were crazy, right?
Yeah, it had a different connotation back then, didn't it?
That's right,
Yeah.
and it's so, there's so many wonderful tools to release the tension,
Right.
and to just get some help, and it's just great.
Well, when was your first performance back after seeking that help? Do you remember
Actually,
what the venue
it was in Florida, and I said to myself, I'm going to finish what I started. I'm going to finish the promise I started out with. And at that point, I was not taking medication, but I was living in Florida and called up someone looking for just a stage to rehearse with. And he said, what are you looking for? I said, well, a piano with a stage. He said, what's your name? I said, Jane Oliver. He said, what? This was like 1991. I said, what? And he said, what's your name, Dad? He said, are you the singer? Yes. I said, oh, please, why don't you come down here and put on a show? So that was the first. It was in May of 91.
And no real problems on stage? I mean, the first time out, it's been okay.
I almost had a heart attack.
Yeah.
But no problems.
That's great. Well, we're happy as an audience to have you back doing it. And now, you're in Maryland now.
Yeah.
Baltimore, Maryland now. And where'd you grow up? Where'd you start your singing
thank you, Doug. You're so kind. I grew up in Brooklyn.
Did you? Oh, okay. I was born in Brooklyn.
Well, Hamlet's first of all to go to Brooklyn.
Yeah, I was born there. I grew up in Long Island, but
really,
yeah.
Where in Long Island?
Floral Park, a town near Belmont Racetrack.
Oh, yeah, the Floral Park. Of course.
Yeah. Everybody famous is born in Brooklyn or has a relative in Brooklyn, don't they?
I think so. Except for Bobby Darin. He was from the Bronx.
That's right, the Bronx, yeah. He and Regis.
He was great.
Yeah, we played him on the show, and what a talent he was.
And people didn't really know it then. And just like Elvis, too. What praising. What a great singer Elvis was.
They put out a CD recently of Bobby Darin, one of his last performances, and you just watch that. It's his act, basically, his nightclub act. And what a multi-talented performer he was.
And what a guy he was. I mean, he was very upset at the Vietnam War and spoke out about it. And,
right.
Yeah, he was quite a wonderful man. Too bad.
Did you get to work with him at all?
No.
No. He died so young. I think he was only, 37 when he passed
Something
away.
like that. I think he had a bad heart from early childhood.
He had a rheumatic fever, I believe, and as a child, and he really wasn't expected to live past, say, 20 years old.
I did hear that.
Yeah. But,
yeah, what a great jazz and singer. Just.
Oh, yeah. Wonderful. Now, you started out, did you start out in churches or anything in Brooklyn, or how did you get started?
I started actually in high school when I went to, my parents divorced, and my mother and I and her second husband ended up in Manhattan, and I had gone to a private school for a year and a half, and folk music was in. I loved it. I loved it not because it was in, because the first 3 notes I ever heard of the roving, what is it, come over the hill. When I heard that, I was hooked. Okay?
Oh, yeah.
So we had a folk group in high school, and that's where I started singing, actually, in a folk group. We were the Riverside Trio.
Is that what they used to call hootenannies?
Oh, I loved them. Judy
Remember
Collins, John Baez, Carolyn Hester, all of them. Loved them.
Oh, yeah.
Loved them. Still do.
Down in the Village, I guess, New York.
That's where we went.
Right.
And they had the wash tub bass and their banjos, and there were some great musicians down there. We stood at Washington Square Park in a circle.
Oh, really?
Yeah, where the fountain was, and everybody had their space, and we sang, about the Greenwood Sideo.
Right. Did you put out the little suitcase so people could throw some dollars in and all that?
And the guitars, which
right.
I still love. Mm-hmm.
Now, I remember seeing you on a lot of the talk shows back then, Mike Douglas and Merv Griffin, and eventually The Tonight Show. What was that like, being on The Tonight Show the first time?
Well, what do you think, Doug?
Must have been amazing.
It was, great to be able to be invited, to do that. But it was nerve-wracking for me. But I'll tell you, Johnny Carson was a wonderful man. And so was Merv Griffin. Nothing against Mike Douglas. I didn't get to spend time with him, but Merv Griffin was a doll. Lovely man, and he invited me for lunch at the Beverly Hills Hotel.
Oh, really?
I couldn't believe it. I couldn't even eat.
Good singer in his own right. Very good musician.
Yes, and just a lovely man.
Yeah.
And so I did Johnny Carson. I think I was on his show 4 times.
4 times, yeah.
And Merv Griffin 5.
And then a lot of variety television back then when there still were variety shows.
Yes.
Sadly, there aren't any anymore.
Yeah, but I think it's because of the expense. So I'm doing, my music, and I always put a folk song in. I always put a folk
Wonderful folk songs on this new CD called Safe Return. Some of your songs that you made popular in earlier years, and some new material, and some folk songs. It's really a good cross-section of what you have on there. We played Glockamore earlier from Finian's Rainbow.
Yes, and the second song I heard in a movie, and I thought, God, that's really beautiful. And it's called Elam Dun Dark Allen.
Yes.
Actually, no one can interpret it because it's Old Scottish and Old Celtic, and it's a language that people don't have access to. Because I've asked a lot of people who had connection to the Celtic language, and they said, we don't know. We don't know what it's...
And you have affinity for Broadway music, I take it, because you also have South Pacific, Some Enchanted Evening.
Yeah, at times. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And,
but I like major minor music, Doug, and a lot of Broadway shows don't have enough minor music.
Mm-hmm.
And so I tend not to love Broadway music per se. Maybe I'm looking for a different kind of...
Who were some of your influences in singing style growing up?
Well, when I was growing up, Johnny Mathis.
Really?
His very first album. Oh, I loved him. He changed the room. His first album. And I loved, I'm dating myself, but I loved Neil Sedaka, and I loved Gene Pitney, and the folk singers. I didn't like a lot of female singers who were singing pop, except for Connie Francis, who was great.
Mm-hmm.
Emotional.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And I just liked a lot of people who were singing pop, Leslie Gore. But really, my influences were Mathis, and I did love Piaf, and I didn't know who she was, but her voice went through me. I didn't understand what she was saying. You didn't have to, but that alto voice was so powerful with passion. And people forever have been saying, you have a style just like Streisand. Well, I didn't want to be another anyone. I did not listen to her when I was growing up because I was entrenched in folk and international music. And I have a theory, Doug, and I'll just tell you this. People who look alike are alike.
Yeah.
Okay? While I was not singing, I was watching people. And it's never failed. When I see somebody who looks like someone I know, they're either walking like them or talking like them or using their hands like them.
Right,
It's fascinating. Have you ever seen anyone who looked like you?
Once in a while.
Are you fascinated?
Yeah, it's interesting.
Isn't it
fantastic?
You're standing there and you're watching yourself.
Yeah, it is kind of
and didn't he have a similar, or didn't she have a similar energy?
Yeah, it is.
Thank you, my man.
No, I agree with you. That's good theory.
I have a million of them.
Speaking with Jane Olivor, and great to have her on. The new CD is called Safe Return, also the DVD by the same name. And you also had a chance to perform at the Academy Awards one year. That must have been a great thrill for you.
That was a story to have. Something happened to my dress, and I ended up wearing somebody else's. Of course, Mathis was Mr. Gibraltar, Rock of Gibraltar. But the magic was, you must forget that 90 billion people are watching everything you do.
Yeah.
But the stars, Doug, I mean, they're magical people. I met Audrey Hepburn. I saw the John Wayne. I met Steve McQueen about maybe 5 months before he died. He had a beard, and he was very strange looking. But these people are magnificent.
Who was hosting that year?
They work so hard. They lift us up. And anyone who says, I'm not impressed with stars, I walk away so fast.
Oh, yeah.
They either have to be lying or kidding themselves or, they don't know what they're talking about. I love them because they give so much, and I'm starstruck.
It is,
so that's what happened at the Academy
You think that people in showbiz that meet other showbiz people, they're impressed too, I guess.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, even more so because they know what it takes.
Yeah.
Who was hosting that? Do you remember? Was it Johnny Carson or Bob Hope?
No, I don't remember. That's a good question. I have no idea.
Yeah, and was it a song from a film? Is that what you sang on it? One of the nominated songs?
Yes, it was the same time. It was from the movie Same Time Next Year.
Oh, okay, sure.
With Alan Alda and...
Ellen Burstyn. Ellen Burstyn.
Yes.
Yeah.
Great movie. Nobody saw it, but it was a great movie. and they have it. They show it every so often, and it's a great, great movie. Johnny and I were singing throughout the whole movie with different lyrics, and the
soundtrack
song was nominated for Academy Award.
Yeah, great. Yeah.
Same time next. Last Time I Felt Like This.
Okay, sure.
Which is on the DVD.
That's right.
Just so happens
And will you be performing around the country this fall and the winter season? Any plans on a tour?
I'll be in Tucson in December, and I'll be in Chicago for 3 days in November. I think it's 12, 13, 14, something like that. I just finished playing the Broward Performing Arts Center in February, so I will be around. Yes, I'll be traveling.
And hopefully you'll put Sarasota on your list eventually. We have a nice hall down here called the Van Wezel Auditorium, and we'd love to have you down here. A lot of people enjoy your music.
Thank you. And you know what? I will send you an invitation if you're able to make it. I don't take hostages.
Sure, okay.
If you're able to make it.
No, definitely.
You can always say, no, we're going to a wedding thing.
No, we are part of our plan here for this program and our station here is to get as many of you folks on the air as we can.
Oh, terrific.
That come down this way. And,
but if I do play in Saratoga, I will absolutely invite you to.
Sarasota. Saratoga's the horse.
What did I say?
Saratoga. That's the horse track. You can go there, too, but be sure to come down here. Well, Jane Olivor, it's been a pleasure to talk to you, and thanks for taking
Doug.
a few minutes tonight, and we'll definitely do it again.
Thank you. I'd love that.
Very good. That's Jane Olivor. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back.
Okay.